Across the border in Lebanon, the war displaced more than 1.2 million people. Fatima Hassan Nuruddin fled her home further south to a shelter in the city of Sidon. She bid goodbye to the people she met here during her time of need. She told Reuters she was happy to return to her home in Adlun, but was sorry to leave the friends she had made. They became like sisters, she said. The cross-border war erupted on October 8, 2023, when Hezbollah fighters in Lebanon began firing rockets and artillery into Israel, a day after Hamas's deadly attack from Gaza. After months of simmering conflict, Israel went on the offensive in the last 2 months, killing leaders of the Iranian-backed militant group with airstrikes and sending its soldiers into South Lebanon to root out Hezbollah fighters. The U.S.-backed ceasefire, in effect, paused the fighting. The agreement mandates Hezbollah forces will stay clear of the border with Israel. The Lebanese army on Wednesday began deploying to the country's south in a bid to restore order. Mahmoud al-Aouni returned to his home in Tyre and stood amid the rubble. He told Reuters he has no plans to move, vowing to stay in his house.
This morning I'm here collecting eggs again, which I've been doing for every day for the last year and a half.
Anne Maman operates an egg farm in the northern Israeli community of Zal'it.
But today I'm doing it without the explosions of firing coming from the border just about 100 yards away. So I hope this continues, but I have my doubts.
She welcomed the truce, but wasn't certain it would last.
We've been going on like this I've been here for 55 years, so I've been in this cycle time after time after time. And here we are again. We got peace, in inverted commas, which I don't think will last. It will maybe last a few months, maybe a year, maybe a couple of years, but we'll soon be back to the same state of affairs again.
Greetings from the International Space Station. Our crew up here just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to all our friends and family who are down on Earth and everyone who is supporting us.
So we've got a container here of all the things that we're going to enjoy on Thanksgiving. It is a feast. Let me see. We've got Brussels
sardines,
Brussels sprouts, butternut squash, apples and spice,
Smoked turkey.
And smoked turkey. It's going to be delicious.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said on Wednesday Mexico would retaliate if U.S. President-elect Donald Trump followed through with his proposed 25% across-the-board tariff.
In case there are tariffs, Mexico would also raise tariffs, so it is a technical move that would also represent benefits for Mexico in the event of a situation like this.
Trump had said the tariffs would remain in effect until the flow of drugs, particularly fentanyl, and migrants into the U.S. was controlled. Mexico has warned the tariff could kill 400,000 U.S. jobs and drive up prices for American consumers. Trump's proposed tariff could violate the terms of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada Agreement on Trade, which the country signed in 2020 when Trump was president. That deal continued the largely duty-free trade between the three countries. Sheinbaum said she was confident the agreement would stand. Mexican Economy Minister Marcelo Ebrard, speaking alongside Sheinbaum, said the tariff hike would deliver a hard blow to the automotive sector's top cross-border exporters, including Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis. Ebrard noted that nearly 90% of pickup trucks sold in the U.S. are made in Mexico and would see a price increase. These vehicles are popular in rural areas that overwhelmingly voted for Trump. Sheinbaum and Trump spoke by phone later on Wednesday, with the two discussing topics at the top of Trump's agenda. In a post on Truth Social, Trump said Sheinbaum, quote, agreed to stop migration through Mexico and into the United States, effectively closing our southern border. He described the conversation as very productive. Sheinbaum later responded on X that on the call she had laid out Mexico's migration strategy, which, quote, attended to migrants before they arrived at the U.S.-Mexico border. She added, quote, Mexico's stance is not to close borders, but to build bridges between governments and their peoples.
sugarcane has long been king in Cuba. However, while the island nation once produced millions of tons of sugar, next year local media say it's only expecting a fraction of that, some 300,000 tons. It's a bitter symbol of agriculture's decline in Cuba. Supply shortages plague the country's farms and have hit sugar especially hard. Farmer Cristobal Ramos is still hanging on.
I think that if the government shows concern and takes care of the farms and the cane producers who still have cane and others who are interested in cane planting, cane production can continue if they provide us with some fertilizers, some pesticides, supplies, fuels and other things. Why? Because cane is a very forgiving plant. As you can see, the hurricane passed through here and it wreaked havoc, but the cane is steadily recovering.
This decaying tower in the city of Artemisa marks one of the many mills no longer churning out raw sugar across the island. There were once 100 putting out product both for Cuban consumers and exports. Yasin Sanchez lives nearby.
After it closed, this ended. Before, life was different. There was sugar, there was everything. Now here, look, the ruins of the tower, and it's falling apart. This here has gotten bad, bad, bad.
Now, production of cane is dominated by state mills in Cuba's communist-run economy. The government said this week that with less cane, a record low of only 15 mills will be open for sugar production. That's down from 24 the year before. The government says that since tough U.S. sanctions and an economic crisis sparked by COVID-19, food production and processing in Cuba has fallen over 40%. Officials have not reported this year's output, but a Reuters estimate of around 300,000 tons is similar to production in the late 1800s.
US regulators have opened an antitrust investigation into Microsoft. A source told Reuters Wednesday the US Federal Trade Commission will look at its software licensing and cloud computing businesses. The probe was approved by FTC Chair Lina Khan ahead of her likely departure in January. However, the election of Donald Trump as US President leaves the outcome of the investigation up in the air. He's expected to appoint a fellow Republican with a softer approach towards business. Sources confirm the FTC is examining allegations the software giant is potentially abusing its market power in productivity software. That's by imposing punitive licensing terms to prevent customers from moving their data from its Azure cloud service to other competitive platforms. The source added the FTC is also looking at practices related to cybersecurity and AI products. Microsoft declined to comment on Wednesday. Competitors have criticised Microsoft's practices they say keep customers locked into its Azure cloud offering. NetChoice is a lobbying group that represents online companies including Amazon and Google which compete with Microsoft in cloud computing. They've criticised Microsoft's licensing policies and its integration of AI tools into its Office and Outlook. Google in September complained to the European Commission about Microsoft's practices. It argued it made customers pay a 400% markup to keep running Windows Server on rival cloud computing operators. Bloomberg said the FTC has demanded a broad range of detailed information from Microsoft. US antitrust regulators have been on a recent campaign against allegedly anti-competitive practices at big tech companies. Facebook owner Meta, Apple and Amazon have all been accused by the US of unlawfully maintaining monopolies. Alphabet's Google faces 2 lawsuits, including one where a judge found it unlawfully hurt competition among online search engines. It's unclear whether Trump will ease up on big tech, although his first administration launched several probes.